What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about what went wrong with Fantastic Beasts. This man has finally seen the new movie, and he wasn't sure if he was going to see it in theaters, but he saw it. He's got some thoughts. So we are actually going to, you guys know my thoughts. I've done a spoiler-free review of the new movie as well.
Oh, one sec. My dog's causing chaos.
Uh-oh. I'm going to get more into that in this video. This is going to contain spoilers if you still have yet to see the movie. But we're going to be talking about all three Fantastic Beasts movies and why it should end here. And I think they know that it's going to end here too.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into it. The first one, I really don't think we're going to have too much negative to say about the first one.
No, Fantastic Beasts, Where to Find Them, I was fine with. I don't think it ever reached the level of like the best Harry Potters or anything.
Right.
The characters were all kind of fine. Like Newt was okay at the time. Queenie I really liked in the first one.
Yeah.
And the first one had the fun concept of, let's explore these creatures of the wizarding world and ones we've never seen before, and we'll put them in the briefcase. And it was this fun like adventure with like a little undertone of like Grindelwald and like all that stuff happening. Overall, it was interesting to see like America, the United States, and like
The Nomads.
yeah, the nomads. Like as much as like that stuff was kind of like okay, like it was also like oh, this is sort of
Yeah,
interesting.
but at least it was fun watching the Niffler go around steal jewelry and coins and shit.
Yeah, like there was enough creature stuff where it was pretty entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was like super deep or anything, but I do wish that the movies stuck to like that focus with the Fantastic Beast part because as you'll
Yeah.
notice, especially in the latest movie, when I watched it a few days ago, it's just the secrets of Dumbledore in huge font, and then Fantastic Beasts in tiny font at the top. I'm like, we've forgotten what this series is supposed to be
Exactly.
about.
And so
Like, he's a zoologist, not a secret agent.
and that's kind of my problem now. Like looking back on the first one, like the quality of the movie doesn't change for me with the first one, but retrospectively, I think the first movie should have been a one and done spinoff, and then if you wanted to do the Grindelwald and Dumbledore storyline, do like a separate series, or
Yeah, you don't need to shoehorn Newt into all of
yeah, or just do a Fantastic Beast trilogy where it's Newt rounding up these beasts, and maybe there's some evil wizard out there who's trying to capture the beasts and steal them from Newt too. And
Yeah.
you just have that guy as the main villain throughout a trilogy.
You didn't need the Grindelwald Dumbledore backstory.
No. Like imagine if Percival Graves was just the guy that was just fucking with Newt the whole time, like just stealing the creatures from him because he's like, maybe I want to like do something like with these creatures.
Like, if they wanted to like have it be set during this time period still and like mention like Grindelwald in the background, like
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
fine.
fine.
Like
Yeah.
that's a little like flavoring. But to like have it turn into what it became where there's just so much focus on the Grindelwald stuff, I'm kinda like it's just Grindelwald as a villain is not different enough from Voldemort to be interesting. It's
Well,
another guy that hates muggles and he believes in wizard superiority and he has a bunch of followers and they shoot a bunch of green symbols into the
they
sky.
smoke,
I'm like,
they vape out of a skull.
it's like I get what they were going for with him. It's very much a Adolf Hitler rise to power. And this one there was vibes of like Donald Trump type like conversation of like how popular he is and how like against the normal he is. But
Yeah.
I get what they were going for. I don't think it worked. And I just want to, again, with all these Fantastic Beasts, Harry Potter videos, preface this by saying I really think that J.K. Rowling did not help the situation with her controversial takes that I don't agree with. But even outside of that, I think she doesn't know what to do with this story.
No, you could tell. Okay, like people are just like, all right, the Star Wars sequel trilogy wasn't planned out. Oh, it's better than this shit. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like this thing is not planned out. And like she'll probably come out like if they end the series here, which I think they're going to do.
Yeah.
She's gonna be like, well, like I had the whole story planned out. And it's so obvious that she didn't. You know.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
they had to bring.
Nagini's a woman. I'm like, no, Nagini's a lady snake. She's not a woman.
Yeah, like
she's not a human.
They literally had to try to bring on the writer of 7 of the 8 Harry Potter movies to try and salvage this thing. And you know what? Like, I really don't blame him, honestly. Like Steve Clovis
No,
did
no.
the best he
He
could.
tried. I'm
He
sure
was
he
probably
tried.
given like studio mandates to be like, okay, people hated this in the last movie. Fix this, and fix this.
You can tell at least that when we'll get to it when we get more into the third one, but the third one at least had a clear plot,
Yeah.
whereas the second one was a mess of ideas that I absolutely despise, and I talked about that in the last video that we talked about this. But
Yeah.
yeah, the first Fantastic Beasts I was fine with. I left the theater. I wasn't like enthralled. I wasn't like, oh,
Yeah.
that was
It
amazing.
was a fun adventure.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was kind of like cool to go back to the Wizarding World.
Yeah.
The one thing that I always kind of had against it, which is actually a problem I have with some of the later Harry Potter movies, but I think it worked with the Harry Potter movies because we were kind of entering a dark period of that story.
Mhm.
I always felt David Yates had trouble capturing, for me, the feeling of like magic being like a wondrous, amazing thing. Like
Mm.
it became too mundane. I don't know if it's his color palettes, but a lot of
I
times
think more
David Yates'
I think
magic is just not that impressive.
I think it's more so in these movies than Harry Potter.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt that like it just the magic seemed to lose its charm, which it made sense in Harry Potter because you're growing up, it becomes just the norm.
Yeah.
But when we're seeing like magical side of America for the first time, of
Right.
like the Wizarding World in America, I want to be like, whoa, this is cool. But instead, it was always like, okay, yeah,
It's kind of
that's
like the
fine.
same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of it's all right. It's kind of nothing's that impressive. It's kind of
Yeah. It's,
and I mean, I was never a big fan of the what magic fights kind of became in these movies, where it's just you flick, you're practically sword fighting,
the
but with
swish and flick.
CGI little bursts between you, like crack, crack,
Yeah.
crack, crack. Where I would like, I prefer the magic fights of like Voldemort versus Dumbledore, where they're like freaking creating conjuring giant fire
And
snakes
water.
and
Yeah.
yeah, trapping each other in water, like really impressive wizard fights, and not like just and just like back where you don't really need to have magic. They might as well have swords. Like it's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about David Yates with these movies that I don't dislike him. I like a lot of the later Harry Potter movies, but I don't think if you wanted to start a new series, I don't think he brought enough new to the table.
Right. It feels
Fantastic.
all the same.
It feels very samey, and I feel bad that David Yates has been making these movies now for over a decade. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I
you
feel
gotta get out of this, man.
yeah, like you can tell with Secrets of Dumbledore, he's just like, all right, like we're trudging towards the finish line. I guess I gotta make these things.
Yeah.
So I guess we can lump Crimes and Secrets together because
Crimes of
Cri-
Grindelwald is an
Crimes
abomination.
Crimes is such a mess that Secrets was damage control for that mess.
And it's the thing is, like, it definitely was trying to fix the things that
Yeah.
Crimes of Grindelwald brought about.
Yeah.
But it's like Secrets of Dumbledore, I will say, just straight off the bat after watching it a few days ago, it's not as bad as
No.
Crimes of Grindelwald.
No.
It's still pretty bad.
At least it has a plot.
It has a
But
plot.
you know what though?
It has a boring plot.
Yeah, really boring. You know what though? I
Yeah.
think the action set pieces in Crimes of Grindelwald, as dumb as they are, minus the pretty cool opening, I think have more energy and are more exciting than the action in Secrets.
Yeah, I mean, they both to me just feel so tired. Like,
Yeah. Well, that was my
um,
thing. I was just like, I remember watching Secrets of Dumbledore, and I'm like, okay, cool action. Oh, wait, it's already over. That was like,
the first few minutes of this movie gave me hope of the third one because seeing Newt out in the field, like tending to like the chillin,
yeah,
and then having the chillin be killed and the baby chillin being attacked. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Newt's trying to protect these beasts. This is what these movies should be. And then
yeah.
immediately they're like, they bring the beast to Grindelwald. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I forgot. It's all about the
It's like,
Grindelwald.
and then there's like this whole convoluted backstory as to why he needs the chillin and all that. So
Yeah. Okay. I have a question. A big problem, and not really a question, more of a statement. A big problem I have with these movies. I'm fine when you introduce new concepts to a movie universe or a book universe that makes sense because we haven't ever really explored that part of the world before. Like if you go to the United States ministry and like it's different over there and you're learning all these new things, the no match and the blah blah blah, and
right,
the school that is apparently in a mountain nearby me, like like Mount Greylock, like that's pretty cool. Like That's organic storytelling because we've never really gone over.
Right.
When you suddenly start throwing in all these concepts after we've watched 8 Harry Potter movies and read 7 books, and like all of a sudden there's all these things that we've never heard about, like becoming like just normal things. Like, okay, so the Minister of Magic in Harry Potter was the Minister of the English Britain magic. Sure, okay, and I can that's what I thought. And then I just suppose there's other ministries around the world. Sure.
Yeah, which
And they
Crimes
go,
Crimes of Grindelwald actually showed us that there were other ministries.
yeah, which is like, that's kind of okay. That makes sense. They have to run those countries, magical people. Like, sure. But then in this movie where they suddenly go, oh no, there's a minister of ministers who apparently runs all the ministers, and you choose them on this freaking monastery in the middle of nowhere, this magical monastery, because it's essentially Groundhog Day, and you bring an animal out, and the animal tells you what's going to
If you're
happen.
pure of soul or not.
Yeah, like the animal tells you if it's going to be winter for a few more weeks, and this animal's like, this person's the right choice to be president. I'm like, what? This is fucking asinine. Okay, you know Grindelwald is a terrorist. You know he's a bad guy, and they're still like, oh no, I pardoned him of his crimes. Now he can run for minister. And then, oh, this thing said that he's good, so he's good. I'm like, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And then doesn't it look at Jacob and like bow to him too or something?
it bows to Dumbledore.
Dumbledore, that's it. Yeah.
Dumbledore's like, no, not me, not me. And I'm
Not
like,
me. I'm
okay.
too busy.
And-
I'm too
and
busy
then-
not having moon glasses and a cool beard. I'm too busy wearing a 3-piece suit over here.
And then he bows to the woman that we've barely been introduced to. We don't know who she is, and it's supposed
Professor
to be a big
Hicks?
deal. What?
Professor Hicks?
Is that who that was?
I think so.
The woman in the orange dress who was like running for office?
Oh no, not her. No.
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 Was Professor Hicks the professor that was part of the team?
Yeah,
I hated her.
you did. Okay, I actually liked her.
Okay, here's my problem with her. This is kind of ranted off the wall here, but I'm still trying to process Secrets of Dumbledore, okay? It was a rough movie experience. My wife turned to me 20 minutes in and she went, I am so bored.
Yeah,
And
it's a boring movie.
I was like, I agree. So I'm
Dude,
sitting there
and
fucking watching
not to
Ezra
mention, dude,
Miller
it's
play
2
Kylo
hours.
Ren.
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
It was a long 220. too.
Yeah, I was like, I remember sitting there in the theater. I'm like, is this thing wrapping up anytime soon? Like, god damn it!
Here's what I didn't like about Professor Hicks, and then I'll put this. It'll lead into the fact.
I thought you had a pipe for a minute.
No, these are my shades. It'll lead into another big problem I have with this series. But so Professor Hicks, tell me if you notice this, Alex. It just her character was like she was passable. She was fine. My problem was the performance. I feel like the actress was told this movie is set in the 1930s. So her idea of being in the 1930s is, oh, hello, Jacob. Hey, how's it going? Hey, oh, hey, Jacob.
Oh yeah, kind of like speaking.
Every
like that,
line she said
kind of like
had that
yeah.
same annotation. I'm like,
Kinda
what
like-
are you
yeah.
doing?
Kind of like it was kind of like Henry Cavill in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., where he's
It
like,
was
every
so-
line I say, I talk
It
like
was
this.
Every single line, no matter what we've got to get out of here. I like, oh, we got to watch out for Dumbledore. Like, I'm like, what are you doing with your voice?
I
It was
actually
driving
never
me
noticed that.
nuts.
I didn't notice
Driving
that.
me nuts. I'm like, you want to have a professor as part of the team? That's cool. I'm like, cool. We got a professor. I don't know. Dumbledore's choosing of these people is fucking
Who
ridiculous.
the hell are they?
I want a zoologist, a muggle with a fake wand, a professor, a fucking one aura. One fucking aura. I mean, how about we get a squad of aurors who hunt dark wizards? What are we doing? Like, get young Mad-Eye Moody up in this bitch.
Dude, could you imagine?
That would have been amazing. I should write this, JK. And it'd be less transphobic.
There you go.
What an asshole she is. Anyway, I'm getting angry.
Well, I mean, I can't really blame you. These two movies are anger-inducing.
So their team is those people, and then plus, wait for it, the one guy who I forgot about and then had to be reminded of, who shows up and he's like, oh yes,
Yusuf?
yeah. I'm like, who the fuck's this? And then he's like, oh, Lita Lestrange's brother. And I'm like, no, I forgot about that
I know. That's the
bullshit.
thing. I'm like,
I forgot about that. I hated that in Crimes of Grindelwald. I almost left. I was like, fuck, they're bringing up Lita Lestrange again. Here's a 20-minute flashback that means nothing. Like, oh, dude, it was infuriating, which is the big problem. Me and my wife talked about this, that we have with these movies. I think it's a major, major, major problem with these movies. The characters suck.
Yeah, dude. Also,
they suck.
Also, not only that, but have you noticed this? I thought about this after I saw Secrets of Dumbledore.
Yeah.
The first one, Where to Find Them, you have a set of main characters. You have Newt, Jacob, Tina, and Queenie. Those are like the main characters we're following throughout that movie. Very similar to Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Yep. Both Crimes and Secrets, everybody's a supporting character. Nobody's a main character. Yep.
No, it's there's just a major problem with the characters, because I was sitting there watching
Queenie.
I was like, I don't care about any of these people.
Yeah.
Like Newt isn't so much a character as he is like a series of quirks.
Yeah.
Like he's just oh
yeah, he's like
I love creatures.
Yeah, he's like
love them.
He's like that dude. He's like that dude in like a shitty action movie who's written poorly, but like has like a tick, you know, where it's like, oh, like, I'm gonna throw this ball up in the air, and that's my only thing.
They just never sold me on the fact that this is the guy Dumbledore needs.
Right.
Why? Like this movie, they tried. They went, oh well, the main plot's about this creature that's chilling, so we need a zoologist. I'm like, okay, but he's also not a trained. He knows magic and stuff.
He's expelled from Hogwarts. That freaking Hufflepuff.
Yeah, like they just never sold me. And then what they did with
Queenie.
You just said her name.
Queenie.
Not Queenie's sister.
Tina.
Yeah, that was what they did with. What the fuck was that? They showed her, and she's like watching the monitor.
Well, you know,
like, okay.
You know what that was all about? What it's rumored it was all about was that because
she spoke out.
Yeah, so it's like J.K. Rowling was like, "Yep, you in the next movie." Nope,
dude, that's so fucked up. It's just the characters were a major problem in these movies. Like Newt Scamander was kind of fun and quirky in the first movie, but then when he does the same damn thing every movie, it became old. I'm like, I don't care about it.
It's the Katniss Everdeen Mockingjay Part 1 effect.
Yeah, I didn't care anymore. Like it was kind of.
Just... Queenie got ruined in the second one. And then they try and fix her, but only ruin her more in this one.
Listen, I'm gonna get mad. I loved Queenie in the first movie.
Yeah, she was great.
She was my favorite character. I was like, she's funny. She's got an interesting power.
Yeah,
she's got
cool personality.
Romance with Jacob. She's very like whimsical and funny, and she seems like she's a ditz, but she's actually not. Like I loved all that. And then the second one starts off with her being like, "Oh, Jacob and I I'm married because I've been drugging him." And I'm like, "What? You roofied Jacob?" And then like he finds out, and he obviously gets mad because
as he should.
Yeah, and she flips out, and it's like, oh god, and she has a whole flip out the whole movie, running in the rain, crying, and then at the end, like when she joined Grindelwald,
that was bullshit.
I wanted to leave the theater and never ever go back to the movies ever again, because she was just like that whole dramatic scene when everyone's walking through the fucking fire, and like she's just like, ah! And Jacob's like, well, what are you doing? And like I'm like, what the fuck's happening? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, so you can read people's minds.
But you can't read the mind of the darkest wizard.
You don't even have to read his mind to know that he's a bad dude and he hates muggles. And you want to marry a muggle, so your plan is to join the guy who's gonna kill your muggle fiance.
But then in this one, it's just like, oh, like I'm sorry, Jacob. Like I'll come back. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing with Queenie?
That's the thing. They realized they screwed up Queenie, right? So they went, we got to course correct. We got to shift her back.
Yeah.
1 sec. My dog.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like everything in this movie is just damage control and course correcting from the last one. Because they're like, everybody hated the last movie, so let's just okay.
But like it was so blatant though. Like Queenie,
that's the thing.
The big thing, if you're gonna do the stupid decision of making Queenie join Grindelwald, you need to follow it through in an organic way.
And then make it make sense.
Yes, because she immediately at the beginning of this movie is already like, I want to go back to Jacob. Like, I already hate this. And I'm like, Well, then what was the fucking point of that stupid
Exactly.
plot? Why did
Yeah.
you make me hate Queenie for no reason?
Let me just say something here too. People say the rise of Skywalker is damage control for the Last Jedi. That movie is like a drop in the bucket compared to this.
Oh my god, like I even make arguments against people. There was definitely some damage control to appease people that didn't like Last Jedi,
Yeah,
but there was also plenty of things people say is like, oh, that's just discrediting Last Jedi when it isn't.
exactly.
This movie just blatantly was like backing up all the things
Yeah,
that are
it was
set
like,
up.
oh yeah, you know that thing with Credence where he's this random Dumbledore brother we've never heard of. Now he's Aberforth's illegitimate son. Oh, you know that blood pact that they had that they couldn't fight with. That's broken. Now they can duel. It's like, oh, you
Like,
know how Queenie joined Grindelwald in the last movie? That's undone.
like the Credence thing made me so irritated
Yeah,
in the second one because in the first movie it seems like he dies, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of tragic. Like he's a obscurus and he died. Like that's a tragic thing to happen.
he's
And
not.
then
That's the thing. Half these characters were not needed in either of these movies.
exactly, and
Yeah,
Credence in this one, it's like the end of the second one made it seem like he's this super powerful wizard and he blows up a fucking mountain at the end, and it's like, oh, he's a Dumbledore. Like, oh my god. And I was like, well, that's stupid. We've never heard of a Dumbledore brother. Or like, and I assumed it was some sort of younger brother. The way this movie explains it, I'm like, okay, I can buy Aberforth had some affair or whatever. Sure. That's
yeah.
stupid, but sure. But the thing is, they never do anything with Credence in this movie.
Like
There's
you,
no
yeah.
payoff to him being a Dumbledore.
And then, like you said in the last video, like why didn't they just make Ariana Dumbledore like the important one?
I don't understand why Credence is made to be such a big deal, and then he doesn't do anything in this movie. He fights Dumbledore in a fucking
No,
rip-off scene
fact,
from Doctor
fact.
Strange.
He does this.
Like the mirror dimension fight, I'm like, this is fucking horseshit. This is Doctor
Oh,
Strange
like
rip-off.
yeah, the duel between uh Grindelwald and Dumbledore.
Well, that what I'm talking more the Credence Dumbledore scene.
Oh yeah,
There's like
yeah.
the thing goes into the mirror, and then they're fighting in the mirror dimension, and so no one can see them fighting, and he's destroying the city. And I'm like, I feel like you guys watched Doctor Strange and went, how can we make these wizarding fights more exciting? What's Doctor Strange doing?
And
Let's just do that.
and instead
Like,
they made them so much more boring.
yeah, I'm like, it was even cool looking. The Doctor Strange mirror
Well, dude,
dimension fights are crazy.
yeah, and dude, you would think like, okay, like the blood pact gets broken. The blood pact thing was stupid anyway, but it's like, all right, now at least Dumbledore and Grindelwald can fight. You know, so it's like
It
once
was disappointing.
yeah, well, yeah, you would think like, okay, like as stupid as the blood pact thing is, like they can fight now. This has got to be like an epic fight, right? Like, no, it's
It's
just
not the big fight. I'm like, I was expecting it to be the fight.
yeah,
The fight. And instead it was like, oh, we're gonna fight again another day. I'm like, no, you're
yeah,
not, because you're not getting any more movies.
yeah. Well, yeah, it's so weird too because like the movie like it wraps everything up. Like the storyline's like over.
Right. It should have been the big fight. It should have been when
Yeah,
Dumbledore
but
gets the
instead,
Elder Wand.
like Grindelwald gets knocked off a ledge or something. It's like, so is he dead or is he alive?
He left to go fight it. Like, it was just, and it doesn't help that the whole Johnny Depp thing happened, and we had to recast Grindelwald. Because, like, I think Mads is a
different
good
Grindelwalds in 3 movies.
Mads is a good Grindelwald. Like, he did fine.
Yeah,
Like, he's Mads. But
yeah. I mean,
Casey,
Nicholson. Yeah,
Casey kept referring to him, which it was hard not to think of it. She kept calling him Caecilius because, I mean, he's playing a similar guy in a movie about magic that also has mirror dimensions.
true.
Like, I'm like, he just felt like Caecilius. Like, I half expected Grindelwald to be like Dormammu in the Dark Dimension Dumbledore. like I'm like, I don't know. It's just it made it hard to care about Grindelwald because like this is a different dude than the guy we just saw, who was
Right.
different than the guy we just saw. Like,
Right.
should have just been Colin Farrell the whole time.
That's my thing. Or if you're gonna do that reveal, just have if you're gonna do that reveal, and it was a 5-movie saga, do that reveal at the end of the second one or beginning of the third one.
Yep.
Yep. Colin Farrell should have been in these movies.
Yeah, it just the whole series has felt like a mess. Like the
Yeah.
second movie was such a mess, and they brought in all these things. I went over in our last video. If you want my extended thoughts on the second one, where I'm just angry, the last video I did with Alex about it. But it was just such a mess, and it completely broke any enthusiasm I had for this series. Like after the first movie, I was like, oh, okay, like
Yeah, like it's
maybe,
interesting enough
yeah,
still. It's
maybe
like
this series will be fun. And then that one completely destroyed that. And then this one tries to pick up the pieces, doesn't do a great job. It's a
yeah.
boring slog.
Again, I can't fault Steve Clovis because he was probably just like they're like, we need you to rewrite this script, but here's
Yeah,
what
we need you to make this look like a movie.
yeah.
Because when it was just JK doing the screenwriting in the second one, it was not a movie. It was a collection of lore dumps where
Yeah.
it was like, oh, the Lestrange family history, where there was an affair and
Yeah,
there was a
it
swamp
was all
baby.
that movie was all those chapters of the Harry Potter books you did not care about.
The whole thing felt, this whole series in the end, unfortunately, feels kind of pointless.
Yeah.
It feels like there's no message that's being told. There's no real essential history that you feel like you
There's no
needed to know.
stakes either.
No, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, like I mean, for me it was an improvement, only slightly. I mean, at least the movie had a plot. I'll say that. But for the
Yeah.
longest time, though, anytime that chilling came up, I was just like, what the fuck does this thing have to do with the plot? I also hate that stupid scene where Newt's like imitating the crabs and he's going like this.
No, I love that scene. That's the one scene of the movie I like. I like the whole scene where they're in the little pit thing and there's the blast-ended troops. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is Fantastic Beasts. He's doing weird things and they're following him. And I'm like, it's a little fun and weird. I'm like, this is why the first one was decent. This
Yeah.
is scenes like this. The Nifflers escaping the thing and holding the guy and there's the
Yeah,
fig or whatever. I'm like, this is what we need. This is it. For
exactly.
like 15 minutes, I'm like, hell yeah. And then it went back to Grindelwald. I'm like, fucking A. Fucking A. They're at the fucking monk place with the election. I'm like, God damn it.
Well, dude,
Damn it.
when you think about it, it's like this movie's like, oh, like Muggle, like wizarding elections. I'm like, didn't we just do this in the first one too?
I'm just so sick of the conflicts between muggles and wizards.
Yeah.
Unless you actually do it. Like, if you really wanted to go nuts with
Dude,
it,
make the Muggles the bad guy.
make the muggles the bad guys. Have them find out and fucking X-Men this shit and storm at Hogwarts with a SWAT team, and then Hugh Jackman comes out with wands between his hands. Like, that would be fucking sick. All right, like a siege on the school.
So,
from
okay,
Striker.
So, you want to know something? So I'm writing a Harry Potter trilogy that takes place like I'm disregarding the cursed child.
I have to stop my dog. Keep talking.
Okay. I'm like disregarding the cursed child. So like I've come up with a story and the opening scene of the first part of this trilogy is literally Ron getting arrested by a Muggle SWAT team who found out that magic exists and now they're just rounding up like Muggles. Or no, they're rounding up wizards and all that. And I'm like, I feel like that could be way more interesting than anything these movies presented.
Yes. I feel like, yes, it could be easily turned into like just an X-Men knockoff, like it would if you do like that type of plot. But that's like the only direction it could go if you're going to continue the whole Muggles Wizards thing.
Yeah. Make
Like,
the Muggles the bad guys.
You need an actual conflict between them because there's only so many times I can watch a fascist dark wizard be like, oh, we need to have war on the Muggles, but then they just fight other wizards. And I'm like,
yeah.
It's not different.
Why don't you go out and execute some people? Just go up to somebody and be like, Vada Kedavra, and that person just drops, you know?
Yeah, you know, like the first scene of the sixth Harry Potter movie, where my boy Fenrir Greyback and his Death Eaters, like fucking like destroy a bridge. I'm like, we should have more of that shit. We should have.
And that shit wasn't even in the book, and it was amazing.
Yeah, Death Eaters like blowing up monuments and stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like this series was just so like boring and like didn't add enough to the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah,
shame.
Dude, yeah, and like I said, like the way the movie wraps up, like they wrap up all the main story beats that these three movies had, or I guess two movies because the second one didn't have main story beats. But like, and then it's just like, oh, like Jacob and like Queenie get married. Oh, here's Tina and Newt, and everybody's running off into the sunset, happily ever after. Series is over. There you go. You're not getting any more movies. Like they know it. They know it. They're like, we know this is going to be a financial disaster. So let's just end it here.
Yeah, they should have. If they had just had the Dumbledore versus Grindelwald fight be the actual legendary fight,
Yeah,
made the fight way cooler,
yeah.
then I would be like, okay, that's the conclusion of the series. I'm good with it. But instead, it's like Newt's like, well, Dumbledore, if you ever need me again, then I'm here for you. And Dumbledore's like, all right, Newt, you go enjoy your wedding. I'm gonna walk off by myself. In a scene, I sat there and I'm like, he's gonna deluminate the lights. He's gonna deluminate the
And
lights
he
as he
didn't.
walks away. And then I was like, that would have been a perfect fade to black as all the lights disappear. That would have been fucking sick. I'm like, come on, David
We
Yates.
saved the movie for you.
David Yates, you tired fool. Yeah, would have saved the movie. That one end shot would have salvaged everything. Yeah, it was just the whole series is disappointing, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
and J.K. Rowling is disappointing, so it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, everybody who's in these movies hates her. So, yep. I mean, the main Harry Potter cast hates her. So,
Yep.
there you go. Well, I know that you would give Crimes an F. What would you give this one?
So the first one I'd give probably a B minus or C plus.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely give Crimes of Grindelwald whatever the lowest possible grade is. Whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever, burn it, destroy it,
Yeah.
cast it into the fire. This one I'd probably give a D or a D minus.
I think I went C plus because I was like, you know what, like production value, costume design, it's all still top notch. It's just the story,
I mean,
the writing itself.
I've always struggled with these movies when it comes to the aesthetics because as much as like it looks like the 1930s, like they do a good job making it look like that.
Yeah.
But I have a problem with Dumbledore wearing a three-piece suit. I
Yeah,
have a
I remember
problem
you said
with
that in the last.
like
Yeah.
I feel like he wouldn't. Like it feels like in
Well,
Harry Potter movies, he's
I
going
just
to
feel like
train
I
stations
feel like we're
dressed
just
as
watching Jude Law play like a random wizard.
Yeah, like he's likable because he's Jude Law, but I don't believe he's Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Wizarding world are all wearing these three-piece suits, and they're all in like these fancy 1930s. I'm like, where are the random ass people walking around in robes?
Yeah.
Like that's what it should be. That's how it was described to us in the books. Like Uncle Vernon's driving down the street and sees random ass weird people in robes and hats. I'm like, that's what it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, this series was just a hit and a miss, and you're swinging a miss rather. And I mean, they got one guy on base, and then that's it. Yep. So that concludes our "What Went Wrong" with Fantastic Beasts series. An entire second movie full of subplots that didn't matter. Then a third movie that was all damage control. So that's essentially what went wrong. Pat, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at this Pat guy. Talk a lot about movies.
And how much you hate this series.
And how much I hate this. I don't really rant about this series much. Right now, I'm currently in the Multiverse of Madness coming out.
Yeah.
I'm post a lot of Doctor Strange stuff. Man, for the actual mirror dimension movies.
You can find me at my official website, alexmanandmovies.mystrikingly.com. All my social media links are there. I might be having an early review of Multiverse of Madness coming out.
Ooh.
Yeah, press screenings are on Monday, May 2nd. So if I get it off, if I'm off, I'm going to the press screening. So
I'm going May 6th.
Yeah, if not, then I'm going May 6th in the morning. So you guys are the best. Thank you for watching. That's Pat. I'm Alex. We'll see you at the movies somewhere.